Thank you so much, Joycelyn. Thank you and good morning to everyone. Well, good day to everyone. It's been an honor for you to have me here today. I have never been out of my house for 9/11 day, period. I stayed at home with my family and I celebrate my time being in the presence with God, my family, and just being grateful. But I appreciate the invitation to be here and to share my story with you guys. First, I just want to say I wrote something and I don't want to forget it, so I wrote it down last night. You know, today we approach the 24th year of 9/11. We reflect and remember how our lives and world have changed in so unimaginable ways. As we continue to heal and find closure and comfort, but yet knowing that it would be unforgettable for so many. Personally, for me, I will never forget that day. For it's by grace I've been saved, and through faith, not by myself, but by God himself. That's why I'm standing here today to share my story with you guys. And before I go further, I just want to open with a prayer that I wrote last night. Father God, we thank you for this gathering today. We want you to take over our isolation, our disconnections, our social anxiety, and our fears, and turn it into something beautiful that draws the world closer to you and each other. No matter what we face, help us remember that you're not done working and the greater things are still to come. Help us remain focused on you in every circumstances, rather than what we see and know about the world around us today. Let us always be reminded that you are ever present and never changing, for the Lord is good and his mercy is everlasting. Amen. Now, I know you all saw the clipping. I didn't really want to look at it. I don't ever usually look at it. And most of you here today are kids who was not born before 9/11, after 9/11. So what you see there, it's not just a story. It's a living, breathing, walking testimony for me being here to share that miraculous story that God put me through, how he saved me on that day. And you know, as young people today, I was once young, I was your age, and I was living that life in being invincible, knowing that, you know, just live life, just do what you want to do, you know, you're living for yourself, you can do you. I was once your age. Now, I'm here to tell a story and to encourage you, to give you hope, and knowing that it's not always about you. It's not what you want, but it's what God has in plan for you. And clearly we see that God has a purpose and a plan for me being here today to share this story. So taking back to that day on 9/11, just imagine being in a building of 110 stories. I made it to the 64th floor. That's a tower I worked on, the first tower. I was just there in my office, normal day, get up, go to work, you know, dressed up nicely, love going to work, love working in that big building. It was always my dream to come to America. I grew up in the island of Trinidad, so it was always my dream to come to America and live that life, that glorious, glamorous life. I wanted to become not what I am today. I wanted to become that girl on TV, that girl on video, that girl in the dance hall. I lived that life. I lived the life to the fullest. I did all that I wanted to do because it was just me, Genelle, just being Genelle. But on that fateful day, being on that 64th floor, sitting at my desk, my coworker is standing next to me. And while I'm having my cup of coffee and we just chit-chatting, the building shook. I didn't know the extent of what was happening, but all I know, I felt the shake. I got up, I walked towards the window because the World Trade Center is a glass build. I walked towards the window and I could see the debris just all in the sky. Didn't know what it was. Maybe it's just a little airplane that, something happened and some papers got blistered out. But, just not knowing, me and my friend, we were like wondering what happened, what was going on. And we did not even hear the fire alarm. That didn't go off. We didn't get the strobing light. We didn't get the fire alarm system going on as we were trained. And I just started that job at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. I just started that job January of that same year. So 9 months, that was my welcome, being there, But I was curious, and I was following regulations. I was following the rules. Do not leave the office. Stay put until someone say it's time to leave. So I went back and forth, trying to figure out what was going on. I saw my co-workers coming in, people were leaving, and people were saying to us, you need to get out, something happened, a plane hit the building, don't know what type of plane it was, never imagined it would be the jetliner. So I was like, okay, but the alarm didn't go off, what do we do? So I'm just following instruction. Me and my co-worker, Rosa Gonzalez, we were there together. We started at the same time with the company. And we were just trying to figure out what was going on. I made a couple of phone calls to my family, to my boyfriend, and they told me a plane hit the building. And I did not know the extent of a jetliner hit the building until I saw the reporting on TV. And while we were there trying to figure out, calling 911, everything that was going on, that's when we heard a next rumble, which means the second tower fell. The first tower that got hit, the second tower fell. And before you know it, my life just flashed right before me. Because I knew if a plane hits a building and I'm still up here, stuck in this building on the 64th floor, it's no way I'm gonna come out. It's no way. Everybody had left the floor, leaving 15 of us remain on that floor. So being me, being scared and curious at the same time, I was just following instruction. I was just going with everybody else, making the phone calls. They told us to stay put, the 911 told us stay put, somebody's gonna get us. And it was a whole mess being on the 64th floor. We got into the conference room, and to see the reporting that it's a terrorist attack, I had no clue. I grew up in the island. I had no clue about terrorist attack. So I started to panic. My friend Rosa, she suffered an asthma attack. We had to attend to her. So we were all trying, just working together. We were checking the staircase to see if it's clear to go down. Of course, we can't use the elevator because you never use the elevator in an emergency like this. And we were just going back and forth, trying to figure out how to get out, or should we wait? So the big question of the day, should we stay, should we go? And we had a debate of who should, if we want to stay or if we want to go. And we all decided to stay. 15 of us, including myself, decided to stay. We stayed. I made my phone call. I spoke to my boyfriend one more time. He told me to get out. He told me he's coming to meet me outside of Century 21. I told him, okay, I'm gonna leave right now. I'm gonna come outside. I'm gonna take the stairs and I'm gonna come out. He said, okay, I'm waiting for you. I'll be right outside the store waiting for you. Then I tried to call my sister and my cousin, and the phone didn't stop working. Then I tried the next phone in the other office. I got my cousin at that point, and she did not know that I worked at the World Trade Center. And she started to scream. I remember her, she screams aloud and tells me, Genelle, you need to get out. You need to just leave. And I said, okay, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave right now. When I was about to walk back to the other cubicles in the office, there was smoke coming in from the other side of the building. We all got together, grabbed everything in the cubicles. People usually leave their sweaters and stuff like that. We grabbed everything, wet the clothes, and just started to put it up to the doors. And at this point, I was just shaking. I just remember I had my daughter at that time, my eldest daughter, and I just knew, what am I doing here? Is this a dream? Is this really happening to me? So just, going along with everybody else, everybody saying their goodbyes on the phone to their families, to their loved ones. And the last thing I did, I made one more phone call to my boyfriend. I didn't get him. So I left a message and I told him that I love him. And I'm going to see him outside. And that's the last thing I remember doing on the phone. And when we all decided that we're going to leave, one of my coworkers, he checked the staircase. We got the flashlight. He checked the staircase, and the staircase was clear. So he asked us, he turned around, he said, guys, it's been over an hour. We're still up here. Nobody's coming to get us. We have to leave. And I was all for it. I said, yes, we have to leave. That guy, Pasquale, he led the way. Me and my friend Rosa Gonzalez, we hold hands. We held each other's hand, and we hug each other, and we said, we're gonna leave, we're gonna go. And he led the way. We all came down, and we all coming down the staircase, and I'm behind Pasquale, me and Rosa, and we were checking each staircase as we go down. 64, 63, we were just looking at each staircase. But during that time, I was wearing these 5-inch boots, heel. It was the springtime, right? It was the fall. And I was wearing these nice boots, tall boots. And I didn't want to take it off because I don't know when I get out there, I'd be without the shoes on. So I kept my shoes on, and we kept going down the staircase, me and Rose, and we holding hands. And we keep going down, and we keep checking the staircase, and the people behind us, some older folks, and we would yell out so often saying, are you guys okay? And everybody's like, okay, keep going, we okay, we okay. And while we were going down again, keep going down to the 30-something staircase, we saw firefighters coming up. And they said to us, okay, you guys are good, stay at the side, keep going. So when I saw the firefighters coming up, I knew, I said, okay, it's not that bad outside. We're gonna get out, we're gonna make it. So we kept going down, and Rosa was keep bugging me to take my shoes off so we can go faster. But I didn't want to take my shoes off. I still wanted to look okay when I get outside. I still wanted to have my skirt on. I wanted to be okay. Thinking it's okay when you get out there. And so I said, no, I'm fine. I'm good. I could walk in these heels. My foot were meant for walking in these heels. So I kept going, and I kept going. And when I made it to the 13th staircase, that's when I told Rosa, I put my hands on her shoulder, and I said, my feet is killing me now. I need to take my shoes off. And I held her shoulder, and I take my arms, and I go to take my shoes off. And before I could get back up in a standing position to stand up, I could just feel the walls bursting, the rumbling, everything come crashing down, knocked me to the floor. Rosa pulled away from me, and she ran back up the stairs. That's the last I saw. She just pulled away, and she ran. And everything just keep It knocked me to the floor, and everything just kept tumbling harder and harder. And all the dust, the darkness, I couldn't see nothing. All I could just put my hands on my face and cuddle myself until it came to a complete stop. Everything was coming all at once. Lay on the ground, and after it stopped, it was complete silence, like dead silence. And when I said dead silence, all I could hear, I heard someone call out, "Help, help," very faint voice, and that was it. And in my mind, I thought, now, this is a dream. I am really dreaming. I'm going to get up from this bad dream, and I'm going to be back in the office or back at Brooklyn. This has to be a dream. This is not happening. So I lay there, and I realized that I'm still breathing. I tried to get up, and I realized I couldn't move. My feet were crisscrossed. One of my arms was under my chest. I was in a weird position, and my head got stuck between the concrete pillar, grabbing me on both sides of my head. So I was wedged between the concrete pillar. One of my right arm was the only thing loose. And in that moment, I couldn't believe it. I knew I was going to die, and I was preparing myself to die. I stood there in agony. I couldn't feel my legs no more. I couldn't feel anything no more. I just stood there, and every time I hear the song, I hear the siren, I hear the walkie-talkies going on, I hear everything, but I keep closing my eyes, even though I can't see a little dust in my mouth and my nose. Every time I knew, I'm awake. I keep hearing things, and I know I'm fully awake. I'm hearing everybody. I'm hearing everything around me. I just stood there, not wanting to wake up, but for some reason, I keep getting up. And at that point, I knew I didn't want it to die. I stood there trying to move my head, trying to move my legs. I couldn't move. I had no longer any feeling in my body. And I just stood there, and I just started to pray. I started to talk to God not out loud, but in my heart. I started to pray and ask God to save me. I started to think about my daughter, my family. Nobody's going to find me under the rubble. 80-something stories just come crashing down on me. How are they going to find me under here? So I knew they was not going to find my body. So I was preparing myself to die. But for some weird reason, I know I'm awake and I'm fully aware of what's happening around me. And I started to just try to remember the prayer that my mom told me, but it couldn't come to my mind because my mom was a Christian. I tried to remember it, but for some reason, nothing was coming like in that spiritual aspect, like the Our Father or the Lord is my shepherd. Nothing like that was really registered in my head. All my mind was telling me to just talk to God, just talk as normal. So I just started to pour out my heart to him and ask God to forgive me. And if he pulled me out of this rubble today, I promise I would do your will. I would do what pleases you. I would change my life. And I kept saying, God, please, just save me, pull me out of here, and I would do your will. And I've been in and out. I tried to take a cat nap, that would be it, but I wake up and the prayer, I'm still begging in my mind. I'm still pouring out my heart to God. And at one point, the pain started to come to me. It started to get so excruciating that I said, okay, I can't take the pain no more. I'm giving up. God, just be done. Just get me out of this pain. I can't. And for some reason, I had my right hand loose because I was feeling all around me, trying to get ease with my head, trying to pull my hair. Everything was it was so weird. And I had my right hand, and I was feeling above my head to see what was above my head like this, but it was this very space above me. And I kept my hand up there, and I said, God, I can't do this. I said, please, you said that you can do miracle. My mom taught me of miracle. I heard testimonies about stories about angel. I said, God, please show me a sign that you're listening. Please, God, save me. And just knowing that I want to be with my family, my daughter, I kept begging, and my heart started burning. I couldn't even cry, but my heart started pounding. And I knew I wanted to live. I knew, and I kept asking for God for that. And within that time, some miraculous thing happened. My right hand being there, someone grabbed me by my hand, and they called me by my name. And they told me his name. He said, Genelle, I got you. My name is Paul. And when that person held my hand, my body felt so calm. And I said, thank you, Jesus. And he held onto my hand. And he kept holding my hand and said, keep talking, you're going to be fine. The rescuer's going to come and get you. I'm not going to let you go. And I kept holding his hand so tight. And I'm trying to see if I could open my eyes to see his face. But the name registers in my mind because I knew I wanted to meet Paul. I knew this guy kept holding me and saying, I'm not letting you go. Just keep holding on to my hand. And I keep squeezing his hand. And he said, until I could hear. He said, keep talking. And he said, I could hear the rescuers coming. I could hear the noise. I could hear the drilling going around. And that's what he told me, say, you need to talk. You need to call out. You need to call out. And I said, help, help. And he told me, keep talking, Genelle. I got you. I'm not going to let you go. And then I heard a song again. And then somebody said, I see her. And that's when one of the rescuers said, I see her. And they called her to me, they said, hello. And I answered back, I said, hello. And I said, what is your name? I said, my name is Genelle. I was conscious. I said, and Paul keep holding my hand. He said, you're doing fine, keep talking. And he said, my name is Genelle. He said, what floor are you on? I said, I'm on the 13th floor, which I knew I was on the 13th floor when it happened. And they said, okay, just hang in there, we're coming. And then I could hear the steel cutting open. I could hear the rescuers, Paul keep holding my hand. And all I kept was remembering Paul's name. I just wanted to meet Paul. I knew I wanted to meet this guy. And then finally, when the rescuer kept coming closer, they were shining a light, and they asked me, could you see the light? But I couldn't see the light because all the dust on my eyes, I couldn't see the light. And they keep digging and digging. I could hear all the commotion going on over above me. And then finally they get close, and they said, one of the guys said, oh, I got her, I see her. And then Paul let go of my hand, and the rescuer grabbed me by my shoulders and pulled me out into the gurney. And I remember when they were strapping me in, and they were lifting me up so high, I was buried, 30-something feet down. They were bringing me up. And I knew I had a smile on my face, and I was trying to open my eyes to see. And all I said to them, I said, are we there yet? I just wanted to be out. And they were going, they would keep going, and they're like, no, we're not there yet. And they were carrying me out, way out. And then when I got it out in the open, I could feel the sunlight just hit my eyes. So I knew I was in the open place, but my eyes were all swollen, my head was swollen like 5 times, my thighs, and I was blue and black, and it was a horrific day for me. And when I got to the hospital, when I got into the ambulance, I remember it all. When I got into the ambulance and the rescuer was talking to me, they were saying, they were asking me my name, my address, and I told them everything. And when I got to the hospital, they put me on the table, and the doctors came rushing to me, stripped all the remaining of my clothes and had me there on a steel bed. I remember that cold bed. And they were telling me, what's your name? And I tell them my name, I give them my contact. And I was smiling, and the doctor said, oh, wow, she is smiling, maybe it's a trauma. But it's not the trauma. I was smiling because I knew I found God under that rubble that day. I knew my life had changed. I knew I had given my life to Jesus Christ. And I knew I was going to be okay. And I was just ready and willing to just go into the Brooklyn Tabernacle Church, get baptized, live my life according to what I promised to God. I wanted to live that life. So when I was in the hospital and the doctor said, it's going to sink in, it didn't sink into her yet. I spent almost 3 months in the hospital. I suffered a crushed leg injury. I had 4 surgeries done on my right leg. And under the 3rd surgery, they wanted to amputate my leg. And when I heard that, I started to pray so hard because I love dancing. I need my leg. I love dancing. So, and I want to wear my shoes. I really want to wear my shoes, but I was praying so hard. I said, God, if you bring me this far, please, not my leg, not my leg. And they tried on the 4th surgery, and they saved my leg. But they saved my leg. I do have a permanent drop, as they call it, a drop foot on my leg. My nerve is dead in my right leg. But I went through extensive therapy for almost a year trying to learn to walk again. And after a year and plus, I started to wear my 4-inch heels back because I was wearing a custom-made boots and all the things. And I just knew I was going to get better. And I've been saved, because I asked God for that. I released my fear, and I turned my fear into faith because I wanted to live. I wanted to live my life. And it's so unfortunate that my 14 co-workers who was with me that day, now, the guy who was leading us, Pasquale, he was found the same day. And the 13 of my other co-workers who was with me, they perished. Even my friend Rosa Gonzalez, they perished that day. And being in the hospital, knowing that when they told me no one survived but me, I felt that guilt because I knew I was holding Rosa's hand. We were together. We could have been here to tell the story of this survival. But why me? I asked God, I said, why me? Why you chose me? I mean, I and Rosa were the same age. We had a daughter the same age. We were living that life. We party together. We do everything together. But I was given that second chance. And I just hope that she got the time to say something. Because it's, life is so fragile. We could be gone just like that. I'm living my life, going about my business, not being conscious of acknowledging the Lord, and your life could be gone just like that. But I believe now that I'm here for a reason, and He has a plan and a purpose for me. And it's so unfortunate that He took all these people that day, not only the friends that I knew, but everyone that day. But we can question God's doing. It's not for us to question. As you know, it's written in Scripture that there will be trials and tribulation in this world. Even as a Christian, we go through it. But as long as we stay focused and keep our eyes on the Lord, we know where we are going after this life. For most of you who was not even born yet in this life, I live your life. I'm living your life, I live the life that you now are starting to live. And my thinking was just like you guys. But I just want to share that it's not because of your age, because you're too young, because that's what I was thinking. I was too young to become a Christian. I don't want to follow Jesus. I don't want to be this kind of life, living this, not doing what I want to do. It's not bad. You know, you got to just trust the process, because God put distraction in your life to get your attention. And he surely get mine, because I was wild. I was a wild child. And he got my attention, and I would not trade it for anything else. Because the life I'm living now, this is the life I'm supposed to live. This is what I'm supposed to do. I mean, I've been with the Port Authority now for the 24th year, with the same company now. And everybody said, you know, are you still working for the Port Authority? Are you still working? You should be retired. You should be living out the disability. Yes, I'm disabled, but no, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to do. I need to plant seed. I travel, I wrote my book, I travel, I tell my story. I love doing it. I love doing it because I want people to know that regardless if we go through this trial and tragedy in our life, it's not the end. There is a bigger picture. There is hope. There is a God, and he is real. And he understands our needs. He knows our fear. He knows the time, the minute, the hour. So why am I supposed to be fearful of what it is out there? It just wasn't my time. I don't know when it's going to be your time, my time, his time, she time. I don't know. I don't have the answer. But what I know, what I'm doing, I'm living my life to the fullest, pleasing God, doing his will, doing what I know I can, what I know how he teach me to do best, and I'm forever grateful. I am forever grateful for this life, because without him, I can do nothing, completely nothing. It's not by my strength. People say, oh, you're so brave, you're so lucky. It's not luck that I came out from that rubble. It's not luck. It's a gift from God. It's all God's strength and grace that I am here today. So don't ever say you're so lucky. I tell people, don't tell me I'm lucky. I'm not lucky. People say, oh, I should play the lotto because you're so lucky. You know, but no, it's the grace of God that I'm here. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm meant to be doing. And my daughter, Kimberly, well, Kimberly is my eldest. After that, my boyfriend, we got married. Now he's my husband of 24 years. I have 2 other kids. I have 3 girls. Kimberly's my eldest. She's 36, so don't judge my age. I'm 54. And my 2 other kids. So I'm an empty nester now. My kids, one is in the Air Force and one is in college. So I'm just so grateful for this life that God has given me. It's not a bed of roses all the time. There is ups and downs, there is, you know, the unthinkable. And the world that we live in today, so much hate, so much undivided people. It's so much that's going on. And this is telling us something. It's a sign. It's a sign of the end. Is this the end? Are we going to be here for the end? I tell myself, people that say, oh, live your life to the fullest and do what you want, drink, smoke, hang out, just live life, you know. I don't do that. I live life, but I'm conscious of how I live my life. I live my life to please him, because I learned to trust in the Lord with all my heart and lean not on my own understanding. In all his ways, I acknowledge him. I let him direct my path. You know, so our God, we have a merciful God. You know, he's there to comfort us and guide us, and you know, we just have to ask for spiritual discernment all the time. And when we think we do the wrong thing, we just run to the grace of throne, and we ask for forgiveness, because we have a good Father. He's always forgiven, and he hears our needs. He knows our desire. He knows our heart. And so today, this is my story, up close and personal.